Hello, good day to you all. In the last segment, we discussed the theory of multiple intelligence and the characteristic features of each of those intelligences. Now, we shall see how to integrate this multiple intelligence in the classroom. This module is very significant because the inclusive classrooms of the present days have different kinds of learners, and teachers have to ensure that they cater to the individual learning style of each of those child in the classroom. Each student has a unique profile of intelligences. Apart from this, they have different styles of learning: visual, auditory, kinesthetic and tactile. The biggest challenge for a teacher is to present the material to the students in a manner which is to grab their attention so that the actual learning can take place. And when we talk about children with learning disabilities, this challenge gets more pronounced. Being aware of the child's intelligences and his learning styles will benefit the mainstream teacher as well as the special educator. Let us now review the concept of VACT. How does a child learn? It involves basically a sequence of steps: receiving the information, processing the information, retaining the information and retrieval of that information. To begin with, let us see how we receive information around us. It is obviously through the sensory channels. What are the sensory channels? Sense of taste, gustatory; sense of smell, olfactory; sense of vision, visual; sense of hearing, auditory; sense of movement in space, kinesthetic; sense of touch, tactile. The way a person uses these senses to receive information is very distinct and unique. It differs from one individual to another, and it defines a style of learning. This style of learning is actually based on a few factors, like the combination of the senses that are being used to input the information, the mood, the situation and the feeling of the person, and finally the extent to which the individual uses these senses to input the information. When we talk of a classroom, we only talk about four basic sensory channels: the visual, auditory, kinesthetic and the tactile. In short, VACT. The different strategies that have been taught in the various segments of each and every module certainly ensured the multisensory approach of teaching, the VACT. A visual learner is one who receives most of his input through his or her eyes. The most effective form of input for these persons would be through books, newspapers, maps, objects, colors, etc. They are highly observant of people and surroundings. They are generally very organized and never fail to establish a good eye contact. An auditory learner is one who likes to talk, listen or sing songs. His most effective form of input would be through the auditory channels. They can easily memorize anything just by listening and hearing to it. A tactile learner always needs a tactile input. He or she need to touch, feel, do, draw or write to internalize the information. They are extremely sensitive to the surroundings and to the people around them. A kinesthetic learner receives the information at its best when he is performing an activity or when being in motion. It is always prudent to use verbs in our instruction that match a child's learning style. For example, instructions to a visual learner can have verbs like look, see, observe, find and locate to be more effective. For auditory learners, verbs like sing, say, listen, tell, speak will be more effective. For kinesthetic learners, verbs like run, play, jump, do will be more effective with them. For tactile learners, verbs like touch, track, make, draw, write, underline will be well received. Since the learning of every child is unique, we have to plan our lesson plan in such a way that it comprises all the elements of VACT that triggers the learning in every child. And when we use verbs that trigger the learning style, we can ensure a flash response and an undivided attention with the child. We have come across the usage of VACT in our earlier modules. To recall, using color coding, using flashcards in our spelling module is a kind of visual reinforcement. In the reading module, verbalizing the strategy to pause when there is a full stop is a kind of auditory reinforcement. For the kinesthetic reinforcement, jumping on the letters of the word when we have to spell is a classic example. Tracing in arm, tracing in the air, tracing with water or tracing on the back of a child is a form of tactile reinforcement. Another important aspect is We may have dominant styles and each person will have a different order of preference. It can be VAKT, KAVT, TVKA, anything for that matter. It is not that all of us use one style of learning. Some can have two preferred modes too. We need to build on the need mode using the strength mode, and that is precisely the reason why we emphasize on teaching using all the styles of learning, the VACT. Just as how the learning style of a child is unique, we have seen a combination of both the dominant and non-dominant intelligences in a person, which is again unique and distinct. An MI profile of a child indicates what he or she is good at and enjoys doing naturally, and if this gets incorporated in a lesson plan, the child will learn the best. An MI based lesson plan attempts to enhance the receiving, processing, retaining and retrieval of the information. So, it becomes essential for us to integrate multiple intelligences in a lesson plan, as VACT alone is not sufficient. Let me elaborate. You've started your course journey with a preview of the dynamics and plasticity of the brain and how neural pathways evolve due to the stimulations of the brain and its effect on learning. MI aims to delve on this plasticity. When we use multiple intelligence in a lesson plan, every child would find an area that is naturally conducive to his learning style. Even though there are 8 intelligences, it is sufficient if we incorporate 3 or 4 of those intelligences in our lesson plan. Much has been spoken about them already. A short recap would suffice. What are the 8 intelligences? Linguistic, musical, logical mathematical, bodily kinesthetic, visuospatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal and naturalist intelligence. Now, how do we incorporate multiple intelligence in a lesson plan? Let us take a few sample lesson plans to see how we can integrate them. First, I am going to take the math concept of how to read a number and incorporate teaching this using the multiple intelligences in the classroom. The semi-concrete manipulative caterpillar that you saw in the math module is a perfect example to teach the logical way to a child. A caterpillar in math begins with 3 partitions, then it moves forward with 2 partitions and again moves forward with 2 partitions. Once we have done this, we are going to write the place value on top of this. So, to read a number, first we write the number and then group them as 3, 2 and 2, and then we write the place values on top. This way, a logical child is able to internalize better and is able to comfortably read the number. A poem or a song to read a number from the caterpillar triggers a musical child. Now, this poem can be sung to your familiar tune or to your own tune. I am going to sing to the tune of For He is a Jolly Good Fellow. Remember the song? For he is a jolly good fellow. Yes, the same tune. How do we read a number? How do we read a number? How do we read a number? This is how we do it. Start from the right and group 3. Start from the right and group 3. Start from the right and group 3. These are ones and tens and hundreds. Again group the next 2 numbers. Again group the next 2 numbers. Again group the next 2 numbers. These are thousands, 10,000s. Then group the next 2 numbers. Then group the next 2 numbers. Then group the next 2 numbers. These are lakhs and 10 lakhs. Now I can read a number. Now I can read a number. Now I can read a number, a very big number. For the visuospatial intelligence to be incorporated, a drawing or a coloring activity can be done. A clay molding activity will also fit into this purpose. For the bodily kinesthetic intelligence to be triggered, physically writing the numbers on the floor and making a child move from one partition to another while reading a number will definitely prove to be more effective. Yet another concept in science, the growth of a plant, can be incorporated in a lesson plan using all the 8 multiple intelligences. I am going to show you how. You are now seeing the text for this topic. This is taken from a class 2 child science book. Take a minute to to read the text. To kindle the linguistic intelligence, a chart or a diagram depicting the growth of the plant right from the root, the seedling, the sapling, the leaves, the branches can be done. The song goes like this. I'm a cute little seed, so strong and so healthy. You sow me in soil, I'm ready to grow. My root comes out first to hold me so tight. I come up a shoot, so tender and soft. Once above the ground, I'm known as a seedling. I grow half a foot taller. You name me a sapling. I grow taller and taller with branches and leaves. I become a tree and sway in the breeze. Like the song? A coloring or a drawing activity or a cut, draw and a color activity will trigger the child with the spatial intelligence. The group activity of planting a seed in a pot in a classroom can be taken up. Similarly, the group can even survey the neighborhood to understand the different types of plants grown in each household. It's interpersonal because it involves team effort, and it's intrapersonal because it enhances the self-confidence derived out of the performance. Planting of a seed activity and monitoring its growth is a great learning experience. Since it involves experiential learning, it triggers the logical intelligence of a child. Since the entire activity is done in sync with nature, it triggers the naturalist intelligence in a child and helps the child to internalize the concept better. This way, we have covered all the 8 intelligences in one lesson plan. How effective it would be if a child is to be taught this way. Talking about the social science concept, landforms, we can easily integrate 6 intelligences into this lesson. How do we do that? To trigger the linguistic intelligence, initiating a reading session in the library, or organizing a symposium, or even a video presentation on the formation of the landforms with a text to go by it would do the task. Divide the class into groups and involve them in a model making activity. Each group then makes a model depicting a landform under the guidance of the teacher. The team effort kindles the interpersonal intelligence, and the visuospatial intelligence is being taken care by the model making activity. A drawing activity given as a home assignment will fit into this category. Revision sessions can be made more interesting by the activity I am going to discuss now. The teacher can have a bowl of chits with the landforms written in them. The child approaches the teacher to pick up a chit. He describes the landform by acting it out. The child uses the language sensibly to put forth the information when he is acting. This will be the child with linguistic intelligence. It's interpersonal because it gives a sense of accomplishment and self-worth. It's bodily kinesthetic as it involves an action. A child with logical intelligence would enjoy a quiz session. A group skit will also fit into this category. So now you can see, with some deliberation, creativity and planning, it is very easy to integrate multiple intelligences in a lesson plan. So, multiple intelligence can be integrated in a classroom setting for a child to learn the best and to retain the knowledge to be more productive. This is the most effective method of teaching as it opens doors to experiential learning. What a novel way to teach and learn!